Hi everyone, my name is Liz. This video has been a long time coming. I've been super lazy recently, busy with work and all that, and haven't recorded it. But I wanted to talk about a game I've played recently that I talked briefly about when I showed all the games I own. This is Cowboys with Big Hearts. It's a very narratively driven RPG for 2 to 6 players where you play different cowboys. There's 6 of them. They're all included in the game. There's a male and female version of each. You divide the cowboys among the players. If there's 2 players, you each get 3 cowboys. If there's 3 players, you each get 2, and so on. And it's very narrative driven. You basically just describe what happens. If you are someone who wants a lot of mechanics and rolls and chance to figure out how things turn out, this probably isn't the game for you. The players need to be on the same page about where the story wants to go. The summary for this game, I'll read the back. 1900, Sunny Slope, Arizona Territory. We came here to die, but we are strapping on our barking irons with a bunch of other pox-ridden, busted-up wrecks. It is a puzzlement. What can compel a posse of diseased chuckaboos on death's front porch to saddle up for one last hard desert ride? Well, it's a complicated ball of yarn. But at this end, the end we are holding onto our sweaty hands, is an outrage. On the other end of the string is the Death Brothers. We're going to find the Death Brothers and have a serious conversation about right and wrong if it's the last thing we do, which it will be. So basically all the cowboys, their names are Swinburne, Lee, Gutierrez, Winthrop, Becker, and Cox. They are all sick with some disease. Their hearts are giving out on them. They are not going to last long. A couple of them are fairly young. Most of them are pretty old. But they all have their backstories. One of them, their spouse died. One of them, they're very young and bitter about being sick. But they all have some level of story to bring up in roleplay, or you can make up your own lore for them. But essentially the story is the Death Brothers have done some outrageous thing. There's a huge list of what they could have done, and you narrow the list down to one thing as a group. The group crosses out anything they don't want to bring up in roleplay, and then they narrow it down, each whittling down the things they are not as excited about to one big thing that you all agree on would be fun to roleplay. I think the one my friend and I did was, let's see, the Death Brothers took Chaff Glover's hat right off his head and rode out of town. Chaff has no way to retrieve it himself as he has no legs. There's a lot of comedy in here. There's some pretty dark humor as well. But taking one's hat is in the code of the West as something one just does not do. So the Death Brothers took his hat. That's not acceptable. We chased them down. So it doesn't say how many Death Brothers there are. So we had decided there were 4 or 3, my friend and I. And it was just the 2 of us playing, so we each had 3 cowboys. And essentially, there are 3 parts, and in those parts there are chapter titles. For example, 3 Dead Germans in part 1. My friend chose that chapter title, and I got to decide as the other player if there were more than 2 players. All the other players would decide what the chapter meant. I decided there were 3 dead men at the end of the bridge. The Death Brothers killed and robbed them, and then broke the bridge at the end when they crossed, leaving it difficult for us to cross. Now, the cowboys are old and sick, or young and sick, and they need to figure out how to overcome these obstacles. Again, this is very narrative driven. You don't roll a check to see if you can do it. You narratively decide, what would this person reasonably be able to do? In this case, we wanted to repair the bridge. Now, an old sick man is not able to easily repair a bridge. So he used a medicine, which is where the one mechanic comes in. We flipped a coin to see what the medicine did. For example, Freeman's chlorodyne, a wonderful riches brew of alcohol, morphine, cannabis, chloroform. which oil of peppermint to take away the sting. Chlorodyne is an extremely potent tonic and very addictive. You flip a coin. Tails mean muscle spasms, vomiting, and a heart slowed too much, trouble breathing, disorientation, dry mouth, itching. That means you don't really get to do what you wanted to do. The medicine is not effective and it has negative side effects. Heads means a balm for internal disorder, angelic respite, a delicious feeling of leisure and ease. You can do what you want. The medicine works, and you achieve your goal. There's risks to it. Once you use a medicine, it's gone, regardless of if it worked or not. You also have items, keepsakes they're called, that you can sacrifice to achieve your goal. So, for example, we were fighting the last Death Brother. My cowboy had a horse, was his keepsake, and the horse charged the man, knocked him down, but got hurt in the process. That's how the horse was no longer part of the game. Obviously, if you don't want harm to come to horses, then do something else. But that's what we did. The end of the game, in my opinion, always ends with the Cowboys dying in some way. Many of our Cowboys died during fights with the Death Brothers, on the way to find the Death Brothers. It was all very narratively driven. And then at the end of the surviving Cowboys, we discussed what their final moments were like. But fighting the Death Brothers, it says right there, we're going to have a conversation with them about right or wrong if it's the last thing we do, which it will be. The Cowboys are meant to die at the end. It's extremely narrative, very few mechanics, but if that's what your table likes and they're really strong in roleplay, this is an excellent game. It was a lot of fun. It was very moving. We got kind of attached to the Cowboys towards the end, and it was just a fun game, and I would strongly recommend it. But thanks for listening to me jabber on about one of my games. Have a good one.